everybody. Hi, it's Becky from PowerToolsWithThread.com. That's my blog. Today is Sunday, June 14th, 2020, and I hope you have been having a very good weekend. We have stayed home this weekend, and I've been busy here, busy as a bee. You'll see why in a minute, here in my studio. And I've spent the whole weekend in here just piddling around and getting stuff done. I've had a lot of, I won't call them UFOs, but maybe works in progress that needed to get finished. So I want to thank every one of you who have given my sweet baby girl Harley well wishes after her surgery. She tore her ACL back in January, and I thought it was just a groin pull. Harley's my dog, for you new subscribers, and she's 10, and she was running in the front yard, and I heard her yelp and looked over, and she just kind of limped a little bit, and everything was okay, but she really stopped using that right rear leg. Well, it's kind of a thing because she's a tripod already. When she was 2, she was hit by a truck. Her front left leg had to be amputated. We tried to rehab her for 6 months, but she never regained use of the paw. So she's kind of my $1 million dog. But we went ahead and had her ACL repaired, and she's hopping around pretty good. She's doing very good. Harley's doing well. Thank you all so much for your love and your prayers for her, and they are definitely working because I think she's going to be just fine. All right, I've got my notes written down here using my book with my chickens. I gave away that other book cover that had the Tula Pink owl on it. Boy, you guys just love that thing. I gave it to a friend of mine. I gave her a choice of the 3 of them, and of course she picked the Tula Pink. So I have to make another one. I've got some more composition notebooks over there. I need to do that. So I have lots of new subscribers talking about the composition notebook covers. There's over 24,000 views on that particular video that I did for Designs by Juju. So that's very exciting. Julie has asked me to make some more tutorials, and I'm happy to do so. But I had a couple of things I had to get done here first. That is definitely in the works. And I have kept a list of videos that you all would like to see too as tutorials. And so I'll be doing a couple of those as well. The one I'm going to make next, the last video I put out this week was how to cut fabric using the Scan and Cut from a paper pattern. And that I'd like for you, those of you that are going to do, I always forget to pull it out, Warmest Wishes with us. This starts July 6th. Super cute flamingo in his winter socks and his hat, getting ready for Christmas. I don't know if that's a partridge in a pear tree. Oh no, that's his scarf. I don't know what I was looking at. I'll link to this below if you want to do it. In a nutshell, what we're going to do is cut out the fabric using the Scan and Cut if you just have the paper pattern, or we're going to scan in the laser cut pieces that you might have purchased with the pattern. I have them here. I dropped one in my last video. I found it. It's back. Everything's under control. Then we're going to use the Scan and Cut to create a special file that we will import into a software program called Simply Applique that you can get from allbrands.com. And then from there, we're going to let Simply Applique create the embroidery file for us to put all of the pieces down. So that's going to be very exciting. That is a whole new way of doing applique quilts, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So if you plan on doing that with us, please go through and step by step with that last video. I was looking at it the other day, not that I watch myself, because, you know, I only edited it, I only had to watch it 4 or 5 times while editing it. It takes forever to edit videos, y'all. And I realized that I had edited out the step where it's a button that looks like a mat. Once you get the fabric on the mat, there's a button that looks like a blue screen with a bar through it. You need to hit that first and scan that in so that you scan in the fabric. And then you can move the pieces around and make sure everything's got enough, area around the pieces so that it's not going to get caught by the blade. One of y'all had asked a question, and it was either on Facebook. I've also heard about it in an email. Sometimes when you cut fabric on the Scan and Cut, it doesn't cut all the way through. So the first thing you need to look for is make sure your machine is not set on half cut. That's the first step. If it is not set on half cut and you still are having trouble getting the fabric to cut all the way through, keep in mind the Scan and Cut is really designed originally to cut vinyl, and to cut paper. And fabric, I think, kind of came around as an afterthought when quilters were saying, hey, I want to be able to scan in a piece and add seam allowance and da da da. So it helps to make your fabric as much like paper as possible. If it doesn't cut all the way through, it's usually in those tight little corners where the blade might be making an angle of some sort. Where there's a large curve or something, it usually cuts no problem. It helps to starch your fabrics before you put heat and bond on them. You can just use regular faultless, or like the blue cap is the heavy duty, that's real good. You can also use Material Magic, although I don't know that you need to go to that extreme. The issue is that the fibers in paper are very fine, and the fibers in fabric are designed to move. And so as the blade hits a point and it goes another direction, that fiber might catch with the blade, the thread of the fabric might catch with it and just leave a little bit. It happens. But normally, if you take it off the mat and turn it over, you can actually see very clearly where the cut was supposed to be, and you can take care of that with some scissors real quick. It's still better than, you know, hate doing all that. Usually some fabric prep will help very much in that. And then making sure that it is super secure to the mat using a scraper. I used to use my Pampered Chef roller, the pastry roller. I couldn't get it on there strong enough, so even with the fabric support sheet. Those of you that have been watching me for a while know I have a special friend of mine, Tiny. She is up near Kerrville, Texas. And she knows I'm a fan of Texas wildflowers. Y'all, you don't believe what she sent me. Tiny, you are a crazy girl. Look at this quilt. So she sent this pattern. It's called Hill Country Wildflowers, one fabric kaleidoscope wall hanging. It's 62 by 62. And the fabric for it is a panel or like a border print. It is called Hill Country Wildflowers by Jason Yenter. Produced exclusively for One Quilt Place by In the Beginning Fabrics, and One Quilt Place is up in Fredericksburg, Texas, and this is the fabric. Look at this. Isn't this just gorgeous? Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. This is awesome, Tiny. I love it. It's just beautiful. Now you're really stretching my skills, you know, making kaleidoscope blocks. Ooh. I wore the Villa Rosa Designs, no bias cuts. I stitch bias cut quilts all the time, but this is just gorgeous fabric. I hope I can do it justice. Tiny, thank you so very much. You are a sweetheart. Dear friend, dear friend. Speaking of Villa Rosa Designs, I have been straightened out. It is not Villa Rosa, it is Villa Rosa. And I have been in talks with Villa Rosa Designs, Pat Fryer, the owner. She and I are talking about doing a venture where she will send me patterns and I will make them up to you guys and let you see what they look like. And I've even got somebody here to help me stitch them up. So very excited about all of that. And I also want to thank Pat from Villa Rosa Designs for featuring my channel and some of my videos in her newsletter. She puts out a newsletter on Tuesdays and Fridays, and for the last week she talked about my channel, and she does a spotlight on quilters that are doing her designs, you know, and sewing up her patterns and whatnot. So Pat, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to doing great things together in the future. And the one I was just working on, well, y'all saw when I was working on this, was sea glass on a shop hop for the Taste of Texas shop hop, and it is actually Panama City on Villa Rosa Designs website. So I want to show you, I finished the quilt. Now I blogged this, so if you've read my blog, you've seen it already, but it's all done. What you think? It just turned out so nice. The backing is a grunge basic gray stars in teal. Julie from Two Chicks Quilting in Ganado, Texas picked it out for me, and I did my favorite machine binding method where I stitch it on from the front and then I fold it over and tuck it under and then stitch in the ditch, and that's the way I did that. So I even put a little label on it down here somewhere. Let's see, can't find it, but Yep, that's what the back looks like when you miter those corners properly. This is how I did this. And the quilting pattern is called Sea Creatures. And let's see if I can hold it up where you can see it properly. Okay, there's an octopus. Can you see him? I don't know if you can see him better from the back or the front. Probably from the front. Here's a crab. Just really cute. I got the Sea Creatures Panto from Urban Elements, and I'll link to all this stuff below. It just stitched out beautifully. There's a seahorse, a turtle, an octopus, and a crab. And then I was working on Claudette. This is also a Villa Rosa Designs pattern. Let me do this so that you don't have glare on it. I'll link to it below as well. Claudette is really good if you have fabrics that have large print and you don't want to cut them up. The pieces width-wise, they're almost 6 inches or right at 6 inches wide. And then you get to use a long strip. So that way you can showcase those pretty large prints that you have. Last February, first part of March, I think it was, as I had picked up some bumblebee fabric and some hives and that type of thing from my local quilt shop, Scrappy Quilter in Shirts, Texas. And I just love these things, and I had left all of the fabric after I showed y'all. I took it all back over to Scrappy. I was gonna go over there at lunch and do some stitching. Then COVID hit, and I didn't have my little bumblebee quilt anymore. So I was able to go back over to Scrappy like 2 weeks ago, I think it was, or was it the beginning of last week? 2 weeks ago. And I picked up my bag that had all of the fabric in it, and I finished the quilt top, and it's on the long arm right now. So let me show you my Busy Bee quilt that's on the long arm with Claudette, and I got a super cool surprise. So here it is, and there is the backing. It has a really cute, it's gray with little honeycomb looking things and bumblebees. And the focus fabrics in this quilt were, this is what grabbed me at first, was the sunflowers. I just love the sunflowers. And then there are little honeybees buzzing around. Can you see the bees in the quilt pattern? I also picked up that from Urban Elements. And just cute as can be. You know, I can see it better in the camera than I can just looking at it. So, and there's the hives. And what else? There was I think that was all that I had for focus fabric. So I paired it up with yellow, like a Swiss dot, and a green dot, and a black with white dot. And then I also used, it almost looks like old wood, and put that in there. You know how when you go to an old barn and you see bees buzzing around barns. But on the yellow, Designs by Juju had come out, let me see if I can get to this one right here where you can see it. They've come out with these embroidery files that are all about bees. Look at this one. Hey, Joy, I thought about you when I made that one. So I put all the yellow panels have a bee embroidery on them. How cool, huh? And then I highlighted around it in a honeycomb shape with a iron off pen or a marker. I'm learning how to box in a box quilt this so that my quilt machine will go around. I wasn't very successful on the first one, so you know, live and learn, figuring all that out. So there's Claudette. Look at how cool that is to be able to see all those pretty focus fabrics. I haven't been shopping a whole lot. I did have to take the Luminaire over to All Brands and get Steven to look at it. I don't know, some of y'all might have seen, I started a Facebook Live. I don't think it lasted 30 seconds, you guys. I started it, and you know, everything was humming along just fine, and then boom, needle broke. I was like, ah! It scared me to death. Stopped the video real quick, and I didn't hit publish or anything, and I thought it didn't, well, it went live. My friend Lisa texted me, she's like, what's going on? What happened to the machine? I said, ah! I don't know. So I bent a needle. Oh goodness, it scared me to death. A thread had got hung up on there. So I've started doing it again, and it would hum along and then go chijink, and then hum along and then jijink, and I was like, oh, that's wrong. You always want to learn the sound of your machines, you guys. So I took it over there, and Steven fixed it up for me real quick, and he reset. It was just a timing issue. So anyway, that's all taken care of. Whew, no big damage. But while I was there, so I ordered, and I say ordered because I didn't pay for, I paid for them. Did I pay for them then? No. But I knew I was going to come back to get the machine, so they went ahead, and sweet ladies, sweet lady, talk about good customer service. They cut me up all of these 1/4 yards of blenders so I can use them on applique quilts. So that's really nice. I just wanted to get a bunch of those. And then last weekend we were at the coast, and I was at Before It's a Quilt in Port Lavaca, and I picked up, I don't know why, the Ultimate Toddler Bib. This is super cute. This is from Shabby Fabrics. It uses 2 fat quarters and some coordinating fabric. I'm all out of toddlers. My youngest grandchild is going to be 4 in October, so he's just out of that toddler stage. They always come around. Matter of fact, just yesterday I finished a nursing cover for a friend of ours, daughter-in-law, having a baby next month, a little baby girl. So I made her a nursing cape. I figured she'd probably need that, but all right, you guys, I think that's all I had to talk to you about for my little Sunday quilt chat. But I hope you guys are doing well. Stay safe, stay apart. And I'm going to do that video about how to use Simply Applique to do that pretty flower, different fabrics. Those were scraps, and I'm all out. But we'll talk to you soon. Go sew something. Bye.